Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Night Hoops on Cam Sports. As the North Andover Scarlet Knights are ready to rumble with the Billerica Indians. I'm Aaron Goodless. Alongside joining me tonight is North Andover native Andrew Severin. Scarlet Knights are 1-3 this season, with their only victory coming in the home opener against the Tewksbury Redmen. Give us a few of your spotlight players you're looking at tonight, Andrew.
Well, one thing I'd like to point out is I love the improvement I saw from North Andover from Game 3 to Game 4, both against Central Catholic. They played Central Catholic to a close 68-57 loss in their last outing. Two players that really stood out in that game were the Walensky bros, Jake and Alex. They combined for 9 3-pointers. I really like what freshman Alex Walensky is bringing to the team this year with his ball handling. Takes care of the ball extremely well for a freshman and shows great composure. And another player I'm looking out for tonight is Drew Connolly. Drew, tall player, good length, and I'm just excited to see what he brings to the game today.
All right. Looks like Billerica is without their star player, Ankit Patel. I watched this team last year against the Scarlet Knights, and number 3 absolutely killed them. So we'll keep an eye out. They're missing their best player here, so we'll see what Billerica has in store for the Scarlet Knights.
I did see him walking in on crutches. I didn't know if it was him or his brother, but it's going to be a big miss for the Billerica Indians tonight.
Here we go. Billerica off to the races here at number 15. Stop and pop, no good. Conley with the rebound. Here come the Scarlet Knights.
Yeah, I want to see North Andover continue to defend wall and really take care of the ball in their offensive sets, run Paul Tanglis' sets effectively, and continue on what's been a good offensive season so far.
Well, they're very good at there's a block right there by number 1, Sanlier. I was going to say the Scarlet Knights are awesome at passing the ball and sharing it. There's a deep 3, no good by number 14, Mason Hunt. I think he's going to be their go-to player for Billerica. I saw a lot of him last year as well. Kutz on the left side. Up and there you go, Matt Kutz.
Great take by Matt Kutz. Has one of the best first steps of probably any player in the MVC and is a really good slasher, one of the better scorers on this North Andover team.
I compare him to a Denton Strem type player. He's that classic small forward. He can guard the point guard. He can guard a big man. So he's versatile.
Good take.
There's number 12 in the lane, no good.
Second rebound for Zach Walensky right there.
So, yeah, good rebounding, good defense early. Here's Conley in the lane. There's going to get a blocking call on number 15, Michael Stack.
I really like that take by Connolly. I think he's, like I said, one of the players that I really like. He's had a slow start to the season. I love to see him being aggressive with his first touch tonight.
Scarlet Knights, I think that they want to be a little more effective than they have been at the free throw line. I consider the Scarlet Knights a good shooting team, and alongside being a good shooting team, you got to make your free throws.
Absolutely. They lost a close one to Tewksbury, a close one to Central Catholic. Free throws can completely make the difference in those types of games. And he misses 2.
Yeah, misses both of them. Looked like an over-the-back call on number 11 there, Jake Walensky.
So far, both teams attacking very early in their offensive sets, not really letting much time waste off the shot clock. So it looks like it's going to be an aggressive evening for both teams.
Keep an eye out for Jake Walensky and the Walensky brothers. Combined 9 3-point makes, 6 by Jake, 3 by Zach in the last game. There's a 3-point shot, and so far the Indians haven't made a basket yet.
Good box out. Somebody's just got to grab that loose ball.
Another 3-point shot. This one's down. Michael Stack. There you go, all the way. A little cherry-picking Jack O'Connell. That's a hell of a find there.
Yeah, that was a great awareness by Jack O'Connell to turn and look for the ball knowing he was open down court.
He has that wristband on the left side, on his left wrist. He just reminds me of Kevin McHale, just long arms, a scraggly, scratchy type player. I really like him.
Offensive
and
foul.
Looks like we're going to get a carry call, and that's another turnover.
North Andover getting into their offensive set here.
Yeah. Walensky, nice up fake, but, you got to get back to the basics, and this is not just in high school. This is in the NBA and in college. You have to put the ball on the ground before you take that first step. I see it a lot in college basketball. It's almost an epidemic.
Yeah, I feel like there's been an emphasis in the last couple of years on calling that exact type of play.
There's a nice take to the basket, and there you go.
Like to see North Andover push in transition.
I like how they're pushing the ball up really quick, not allowing Billerica to set up their defense. They've done that now twice, although they're going to get a turnover on this one. Or
I believe it's going to be on the floor foul. Initially, it looked like a shooting foul, but it looks like they're calling it on the floor.
Yeah, I thought that may have been a 2 shots at the line. Sideline out of bounds here. Here's Kutz, drive to the basket, floater in the lane. There you go, nice soft touch.
Again, I love seeing these North Andover players aggressive. Matt Kutz, he's probably their best pure scorer. He's great at taking it to the rim. So, once again, just can't state it enough. I love the aggressiveness that they're showing early on.
Here inside is Mason Hunt. And he's shown a little versatility, taking some threes and now going into the basket. Jack O'Connell and Matt Conley, really they're big guys up front, and they don't really, although O'Connell plays that center position, Nate Williams and Kellen Murphy on their bench are more traditional centers.
Yeah, quick thing about Mason Hunt. He's had 2 double-doubles already this year, one against Chelmsford, one against Methuen. We saw what Jermaine Wiggins Jr. was able to do to North Andover in the 2 Central Catholic games without having really a lot of presence inside. And another skilled big man that they're going to have to come up against and find a solution for.
Well, Scarlet Knights and Indians back and forth here. Here's Kutz. Cross to Zach Walensky. Spot up, no good. Oh, good job by Walensky to try to get the ball back. And so far, these teams look pretty even matched right now.
Mismatch right now with Walensky on one of their bigger players, and they found him.
Oh, there's a turnover. There's the Walensky brothers. They're both little pesky defenders. Tried sneaking it over to Conley. He couldn't get a hold of the ball. I think it's going to be a foul on Billerica. They had the 3-on-2. I believe Zach had his brother on the right side as Nate Williams has checked into the game for Jack O'Connell. So now a traditional center in there. Here's a spot up 3. Walensky! Splash!
Billerica's got to pay attention to the scouting report. You cannot give Jake Walensky that much space.
I compared him to Ricky Moore of the 99 UConn team last year. He shoots a little higher percentage from 3 than Ricky Moore did. Here's Mason Hunt.
Yeah, great take by Hunt.
And there's an offensive foul. There's a Tommy point for Drew Conley and Nate Williams. I'll give it to both of them.
Said we needed to find a solution to how they were going to cover him, and if they're clogging the lane and not letting him take easy shots, it's going to be a long night for Mr. Mason Hunt.
Looks like Nate Williams comes up a little hobbling. He didn't play in the last game. He showed some really good signs, really good stints last year in the lineup coming off the bench, giving the team some height, and they need it. But contrasting styles because they like to spread the floor. There's Kutz to the left. There's another beautiful little rainbow floater. He's got 3 baskets in the game.
It looks like
it's 11-7 Scarlet Knights.
It looks like Mason Hunt has the assignment on Kutz, and Kutz might just be a little bit too fast for Hunt. So there's the converse of having a big man down low who can get you a lot of rebounds and points.
Let me tell you, Billerica is really missing Ankil Patel because they don't have a guy to go to.
Good boxing,
as they throw up a desperation 3, and here comes Kutz. He's feeling it. I like how Kutz is assertive and aggressive right here. Draws the foul, and count it! Beautiful! Matt Kutz, how do you do?
Don't really think he knew much about that shot going in. Kind of, I think, was just looking to draw the foul, but you'll take him however you can get him.
Yeah, he likes those little runners around the lane, and that's a spot that coaches don't really emphasize nowadays. It's either 3 or take it to the basket, and really it's more 3 nowadays. So work your inside magic, and I like just being aggressive. Hey, a missed shot's a missed shot. Just don't turn the ball over.
Completely agree.
Andrew, what do you see so far here from Billerica? I mean,
doesn't really look like they are running too many offensive sets and playing a little bit frantically, forcing some three-pointers and a number of turnovers already early on.
All right.
I think they just need to settle down, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. They don't have that one guy to go to and get him a basket. Mason Hunt looks like that guy, but here's Kutz again, working the left baseline. Nice pass inside of Kellen Murphy.
I mean, he's unstoppable right now, honestly, attacking the basket. They don't have anybody who can stay in front of him. And I've said it a couple times, love to see that aggressiveness. Absolutely love it.
Kutz is working that left side baseline. It is beautiful. He's starting to get really comfortable and really drawing the double team and finding a guy like Kellen Murphy. That is really big when you don't have a traditional center in there. You hand it inside to the offensive lineman out there, Kellen Murphy.
Yeah, I agree. North Andover hasn't had any trouble scoring the ball this year, in my opinion. They've done just about enough to win a couple of games. But I don't think we've seen scoring like this so far this season, and it definitely is on the back of Matt Kutz in his attacking play, plus a little bit of Jack Walensky shooting mixed in. Sorry, Jake Walensky.
So one thing I'm really liking out of this, I know they're 1-3 so far, the Scarlet Knights this season, but one thing I'm really liking is not the same guy brings the ball up. They don't have that traditional point guard who's, running a set and get the offense in gear. It's kind of Jake Walensky brings it up, Kutz brings it up, Zach Walensky brings it up. It's really, the defense can't really lock in on one guy. And so far, Kutz is driving the car there for the Knights.
Yeah, and it lets you do a bunch of different things off ball to free up different players with different styles. Maybe you have a slasher like Matt Kutz, you can do a couple off ball screens. You can find Jake Walensky on a curling screen for a three-point shot. It definitely makes you a more dynamic team.
Here's the 2-3 zone now. Coach Tanglis working his magic as DeAndre King, one of the better high school defenders, I'd say. I compare him to, he is long arms, he's a Tony Allen, he is number 5, DeAndre King. Keep an eye out for him. He will get in the passing lanes. I absolutely love a guy like that. He reminds me of a Russ Smith from Louisville years ago. He used to play with Peyton Siva with Frick Pitino. So keep an eye out for him. Here's a spot up 3, no good. I believe that was one of the Walensky brothers out there.
Hey, I like the open shot. He drove in, drew the defender, and kicked it out.
And that's the second offensive foul for the Scarlet Knights.
This time it's Kellen Murphy with drawing that offensive foul.
Big play. So we got the Walensky brothers out there with Kellen Murphy and DeAndre King. I love Coach Tanglis after timeout plays, whether it's defense or offense, always changing up the strategy. Beautiful. Something that Brad Stevens needs to work on a little bit. Inside to Conley. Conley now double teamed. He breaks it off the glass and in. Drew Conley.
I mean, they're getting good shots, but also converting some tough buckets as well. It really is a nice offensive outpouring for this North Andover team. And defending incredibly well.
They go back to the man-to-man. So they came out in the 2-3 zone after the timeout. Now they go man-to-man. Mason Hunt. That's going to be a hand check foul on Kellen Murphy. So good production off the bench for Murphy. As they brought in Nate Williams first, he gets injured, so Murphy's stepping up.
I know you mentioned Tommy points earlier. I'm going to do my best Tommy Heinsohn impression. I'm not so sure about that call.
Yes. Well, good thing it was against the Indians. There's a spot up 3. There you go. Number 15. He took about 3 of those. Finally nails one. That's Michael Stack.
He scored 20 points in a game versus Chelmsford earlier this year, so he's definitely a scorer for them.
Murphy showing off the 3 with the sniper.
And that was really created by Alex Walensky, getting into the paint, drawing some defenders. Nice in-and-out dribble shown by the freshman.
Yeah, there's another one off the glass. No good, but there's going to be a foul call. So Kellen Murphy nailed the 3 on one end, but fouls a jump shooter on the other. That will be Mason Hunt. Starter last year. He's going to have to be the primary scorer in this one.
Yeah, unlike the North Andover team, which has shown scoring from a couple of different options so far in this first quarter, a lot of the offense from Billerica is coming from Michael Stack and Mason Hunt, respectively.
Misses the second free throw.
Not great free throw shooting from either
No,
team so far.
no.
And I know as a coach yourself, that's gotta really pain you.
I've been thinking about this. They take the players off the block and during the free throws, and I just think that may make it a little bit more challenging with no one there for the first shot or first two shots. So, but he nailed 2 of 3, and Walensky letting it go. Splash! He's got another one. He is feeling it.
They can't miss right now, quite frankly. They just cannot miss.
Jake Walensky, a captain at lacrosse, captain in football, captain in basketball. What can he do? Here's a spot up 3 for number 24. Emmeline Lamore.
Looks like Mason Hunt. Mason Mount is the soccer player. Mason Hunt picked up the foul there. Like I mentioned, one of their more involved players so far already, so definitely doesn't want to start picking up senseless fouls.
DeAndre King, I'd like for him to be a little more aggressive, especially on the offensive end. He's got really long arms. He can take it to the basket. Here we go. Off the glass. Kiss it up and in. Drew Conley.
Didn't look all that comfortable having the ball at the top of the key, but ended up making a really nice play getting around his defender and taking him to the basket for 2.
The start of this season, Scarlet Knights have had some unforced turnovers, but it's been the Indians in this first quarter. They got to settle down. Here's Zach Walensky. Good fake off the glass and counted at the buzzer. That's how you finish a quarter. Walensky brothers, how do you do?
Second time he froze a defender with that in-and-out dribble. That's a dangerous move. And that freshman, I mean, if there was a student section here, I think it's safe to be saying they'd be chanting, he's a freshman the whole time, right?
Unbelievable. The Walensky brothers, we mentioned, had a 3-point barrage in the last game against the Central Catholic Raiders. And probably the best first quarter of the season, best quarter overall for the Scarlet Knights, led by, it was a cast of characters in that first quarter. It was the Walensky brothers. Kutz had, I think, 3 baskets, dishing the ball on that baseline drive. So they're hitting on all cylinders right now.
Hey, if this are we sure these aren't 12-minute quarters with that 27-point scoreline? I mean, they're on track to score over 100 points. You think they're going to do it?
Hey, they're averaging roughly 50 points a game, so pour it on, and get some. This game is far from over, right? There's 3 more quarters to play, But if the game does start getting away, you can start working in some of your other guys. But that's still too early to do that right now. So we're hoping Nate Williams is okay. He had that. Looked like he limped off.
Yeah, he was shaking his head as soon as he sat down. It looked like a lot of frustration, maybe re-aggravated whatever was keeping him out earlier this year. That was kind of the indication that I got.
Yep, good point. And it looks like the Billerica Indians don't have number 14 Mason Hunt or number 15 Michael Stack out there, the 2 players that looked like that they were making all the offense for them in that first quarter. They're both out. So, as far as the head coach of the Indians, Mark Mastrullo, we'll see what kind of strategy he has here in the second quarter. Coach Tangle's going to keep coaching his guys up. Yeah. As it's going to be Conley, Kutz, Jake Walensky, DeAndre King, O'Connell.
Yeah, I think you're going to look at Alex Sinclair, Josiah Twebaze, and Connor Gibson as the players who can get some scoring now without, like you mentioned, Hunt or Stack on the court.
The ball movement, the moving without the ball. Here's Kutz with a jab step. Bobby Jack 3! Matt Kutz, baby!
I wish we had a statistician up here so I could figure out what we're shooting right now because it's a ridiculously high percentage.
Outstanding.
30-12 to score. North Andover with the 18-point lead.
They're going to reset the Indians. DeAndre King, keep an eye out for him. I love him playing defense. Here's a nice up fake. 0 in the lane. Floater. Oh, the Indians really needed a basket there to break this run. In the lane, here's Jake Walensky. Count it.
Go.
Oh, baby.
Doesn't matter if it's settling down the ball playing in the half court or in transition. North Andover can just basically get a bucket however they want.
32-12, a 20-point lead, biggest lead of the year for the Scarlet Knights in any game.
And I mean, the scoring's noteworthy, but I think we should also be noting the defense. 12 points in a quarter is pretty exceptional, and they're playing some really nice man-to-man defense right now.
There's a jab step floater. Nice up and under, but better defense. They get the fortunate offensive rebound. Number 22, Danette Siddell. And the Scarlet Knights right back on offense. I love, just push the tempo. Here's a heat check. No good. And here come the Indians.
Continue playing good defense. You don't want to see this lead start to dwindle at all. You built yourself a nice lead. You really just do want to continue doing what you're doing and see out an awesome result.
Here's a three for the Indians, in and out. Conley looking down court. Good deflection by Sinclair. And then there's the pesky Tony Allen type DeAndre King. And then a no-look pass. Here it comes, tic-tac-toe. Conley, no. Kutz rebound.
Great
Here's
pass.
A nice cut inside. Walensky feeling it. No. O'Connell getting into the...
Low push in the back by O'Connell.
To the middle there. They call the offensive foul there, huh?
Yeah. It was a push in the back by Jack O'Connell. I did spot it. But I love what he's doing inside. At 6'1", he's definitely not the tallest player in the court, has some height, and has done a really nice job making up for Aiden Heim, who graduated last year and was kind of North Andover's go-to center. Good defense by Walensky. How many times are you going to say that during a game?
Yeah, he's the ultimate glue guy, but he's showing more and more on offense. Here's a three. In and out, and the Indians can't buy a bucket.
That's not the shot that the Indians need. A contested three-pointer down 18 points.
DeAndre King feeling it. There you go, DeAndre King with a splash three-point in the corner. Looked like he had a nice little Hershey Hawkins form on that.
Extending the lead to 21 points.
35-14. I think the Indians need a timeout. Here's a three, St. Lair didn't hit anything, and I think it's safe to say we may see number 14 and number 15 both checking in for the Billerica Indians as Drew Conley takes a rest.
Yeah, with Billerica coming in 2-2, 2 wins against Chelmsford, 2 losses against Methuen. They were probably the favorite coming into this game. Even with the game that they played last year, Billerica won by 25 points, but...
Cuts up and under, there you go again! They are eating down low, getting whatever they want, three-point shots, inside shots. As Kutz almost had another good defensive play. Back iron, no good. Just nowhere to go for the Indians.
Great active hands by Kellen Murphy.
Even the easy passes are getting deflections. There's a Tommy point for Kellen Murphy, but it's going to come up the Indians on this one.
Can't fault them there. A lot of effort being shown on that defensive possession. Just unlucky the way the ball bounced.
Here's King. There's Murphy. He hit one from that corner, from that elbow again, and he did it again. Kellen Murphy.
Love to see that from Kellen Murphy, a kid who could always shoot the ball. He was on varsity as a freshman, partially because of his shooting ability, so love to see him hitting his second three-pointer of the game.
And to be honest, I don't take him as an outside shooter, but he is doing a great job off the bench. And there's DeAndre King. What a pass to Kutz. Yeah, with the rack attack and a timeout. TO 42-16. Scarlet Knights running away with this thing here late in the second quarter.
North Andover is just, quite frankly, playing a complete basketball game, forcing turnovers, defending hard in the man-to-man, scoring in transition and in the half court. I mean, it's basically a near-perfect display for North Andover so far. Really impressed by how this team's playing after, 2 tough games against Central Catholic.
I mean, Scarlet Knights are almost to 50 here in this first half. They've played their best game by far. I mean, granted, the Billerica is shorthanded tonight. So, if you're Coach Tanglis, do you worry about keeping the starters out there and play as much as you can tonight, or do you want to try to work in some of your guys off the bench that maybe haven't had enough a ton of playing time. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I think right now you just keep doing what you're doing. I will say from a Billerica perspective, just because, things aren't going well for them right now, it's going to be hard not to get dejected in a game like this. A lot of times with these big leads, we're seeing it in the NBA, they never really close the gap because you don't have fans in the stadium or kind of, some noise or some juice to feed off of. So they need to try and not get dejected, and North Andover just needs to keep doing what they're doing. I mean, they're building an awesome lead, like I said, on some really nice defense and all around good offensive play. So more of the same, I think.
I'm interested to see, if they keep how long they go with their starters, but number 15 and number 14, as expected, Stack and Hunt back in the game, and see if Billerica can get back into this thing. Looked like he got away with a travel there. Here's an open three, Stack, bang! There's Billerica. They're giving Zach Walensky that wide open look. I wouldn't do that if I were the Indians. Murphy from the third in a row, no good. Oh, what a rebound by O'Connell.
Wow.
Getting up with a offensive rebound, but he doesn't get rewarded. I think they called a travel or an over the back. Either way, O'Connell, that would have been a nice rebound.
Yeah, that was a mighty athletic play, holding off a defender, skying up and grabbing the ball with one hand. Not sure exactly what the call was there.
Here's Mason Hunt, step back, no. I think that was kind of the right idea,
that was the right idea, 1,000%.
But yeah, the play was definitely there.
Play was there. He saw the double team coming, stepped back, found the man rolling to the hoop.
Right.
Just
at the same time, you at this point, I think Billerica needs to focus on 14 and 15 both shooting, and that's really it. Have those guys attack if they're gonna even make this a game here. Look inside Murphy! The rack attack for two! Kutz is living and dying on that baseline. That is number 13, Josiah Chwabaze will go to the line.
Yeah, he was able to get a step on O'Connell with that crossover, and once O'Connell was on his back, he was kind of either foul or let him get that easy basket.
I mean, Matt Kutz has lived driving on that left side baseline and dishing it. He's done it 2 or 3 times. He's gotten a bunch of buckets there. I mean, you would think Billerica would think, let's trap him. Let's do something to, make sure he doesn't go baseline.
Here he is with it on the wing.
There's good defense. Finally, Billerica comes up with a defensive stop.
Love how they stopped ball in transition and didn't let him get to the hoop.
Stack floater, nice off the glass and in. He took advantage of Jake Walensky kind of losing his footing there and made him pay for the bucket. Walensky brothers on the top. Here's Jake Walensky. No one wants to play defense on him. They're eating from that baseline, whether it's the right or the left side.
Yeah, Mason Hunt, he's a specimen. You can see he's a really big kid, great size, but covering on the perimeter, he's been beat a number of times that time. Jake Walensky, benefactor of his...
Fabaz, there you go for 3. (46-26). Still a 20-point lead for the Knights as number 12 has checked into the game. Chris Pensavelli. There's Kutz, line away 3, no good. And here come the Indians.
Took another travel.
Yeah, it looked like there was more steps there. Here's Mason Hunt using the screen, step back a little inside the 3-point line. And there's Walensky, Zach there. There you go, Zach Walensky, nifty play with the kiss off the glass.
He's got an unbelievable offensive arsenal for a freshman guard.
Wow.
Dribbles and takes the basket well with both hands. Took the ball up the court with his right. Hesitation, finished with the left. Great play.
Zach Walensky, keep an eye on him. As Dickie V would say, a diaper dandy.
Definitely.
22-point lead for the Knights here at the Castle. Twabaz will check it in. Here's Stack. Cuts on him. That's a good matchup. Here's Mason Hunt. He's got to be aggressive here.
Good job
Spin
by
in the
Drew
lane.
Connolly.
Drew Connolly saw it coming.
Oh, man.
I think we got a foul here. It's going to be 2 shots for Hunt.
The only thing Drew Connolly did wrong there was not being able to get the ball once Hunt spun into him, but that was really nice defense, staying in front of his man the whole time.
Did they ever call it the Castle when you were in North Andover?
No, we always just called it Crozier Gymnasium.
Okay.
And we had a bunch of different nicknames for the fan section, but personally my favorite, maybe have a horse in the race because I was the leader of it, was the Crozier Crazies.
Oh, I like that.
Taking
Yeah,
a little homage
good,
to the
good.
Cameron Crazies of Duke.
Yeah. I like that. Well, now here's some full court press and almost a steal. They had to adjust there. There should have been a backcourt. They didn't call it. And now Pensavelli in the corner. He'll join the party, but no good. Walensky got the rebound, but it was deflected and out of bounds, and that will finish the first half as the Scarlet Knights had an impressive first half. Their best first half of the year, and it is a score of 48-27.
Much better half for Billerica, I will say. North Andover, kind of what I alluded to, still continuing to do the things that got them into this position, still defending well, still running some really nice offensive sets and getting some open shots. But I think Billerica maybe played uncharacteristically poorly in that first quarter and maybe a little bit unrealistic to expect the game to continue in that direction. I'm not surprised that the level of play on the court evened out a little bit in that second quarter. Still a phenomenal performance for North Andover.
Yeah, I mean, this is the 4th game. I've seen them live, and that was by far their best half. And the Walensky brothers are getting better and better every game. And Zach Walensky is looking like he's really controlling when he gets the ball in that half court or open court. He is, for a freshman, he's controlling the tempo. And they're really mixing and matching, bringing the ball up. It doesn't matter who it is. And I think Coach Tankless really wanted to focus on push the tempo on these guys. Push the tempo. And what do you think Billerica has to do in the second half to get back in the game?
Well, I did notice on that last possession of the half when you mentioned Billerica came up and did a little bit of full court pressure. North Andover on a couple of occasions hasn't had somebody back to receive the inbounds pass. Well, if you set up full court pressure early on and then have people scrambling back to try and figure out who's going to take the ball up, who's going to help break that pressure, that can lead to some turnovers. So Billerica really just doing something to inject some life into their team, playing with a full court press, really trying to get some motivation and some, a full court press is an easy way to inject some motivation and some energy into your team. So
yeah, definitely. You want to force the turnovers, especially if you're losing in the game. So you expect them go full court press more in the second half?
Yeah, especially if North Andover isn't coming up with a dedicated ball handler or a few options for their inbounder to pass to, like we saw on that last possession. Other than that, going to have to continue to find ways to get Stack, Hunt, and St. Lair involved in the game. I've done some research on this team, and them along with Patel have been really their scorers so far this season. And I think from a North Andover perspective, keep throwing Jake Walensky, Matt Kutz, O'Connell, Connolly at those players, and that they have a lot of players who are capable of covering those guys. So keep fresh legs on them, keep giving them different looks, and minimize their impact on the game.
Yeah, if I'm Billerica, I want to do way more trapping in this second half, right? Whether it's the full court press or even in the half court when they're on defense. You can't just allow Kutz and Walensky to just drive to the baseline. Trap them both. Get your hands up. If you commit a foul, you commit a foul. but try to steal the ball. You're down by 20 points. The Scarlet Knights are, they're shooting at a high percentage, and they're getting a lot of easy baskets. So the Billerica has to do something, even if it's not their style, to throw the Scarlet Knights off their game.
No, I completely agree. If I'm Mark Mastrullo, Billerica's head coach, I am asking a little bit more of my players on defense. Hands up, active, maybe a full court press, maybe trying to double team some of the more dangerous offensive players, create some turnovers and start inching your way back into the game. I agree.
So starting lineups here will be the Walensky brothers, O'Connell, Conley, and Kutz. As they'll use an away screen for Mason Hunt, top of the key. He wanted it. O'Connell out there on him with the long arms. He kicks it back out. St. Lair, they're going to draw the foul, little nickel dimer. Call foul on the Scarlet Knights.
On the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drew Connolly just kind of got caught ball watching there. Ball came over his head, and St. Lair already had a step on him. Just playing catch-up.
O'Connell again on Hunt. That's a tough ask for him, and he takes it all the way to the basket.
Hunt shows a really nice in-and-out game, putting the ball on the floor, seen him put the ball up a couple times.
Yeah, they sped Kutz up on the baseline. They forced a turnover, a little adjustment, and there's St. Lear, but he couldn't finish it. Or that was Tobaz, and they find O'Connell cherry picking on the other end for two.
That's what happens when you don't get those easy buckets. You open up things in transition, and O'Connell capitalizes.
Fortunate that basket didn't go in for Tobaz. And they're going to call, he shuffled the puppies there.
First one on Tobaz, could have been second or third. He needs to work on receiving the ball and then thinking about what he wants to do next.
A 21-point lead for the Knights. They have all 5 three-point shooters out there. Here's Walensky. Oh, the dagger in and out. That ball wanted to go down. Even his misses look like they're in.
You said it.
Here's Hunt getting more aggressive, working the left lane off the glass. Counted in the foul. Or they're going to call an offensive foul. I think that's an offensive foul.
Third one of the game drawn by North Andover. One for Kellen Murphy, one for Drew Connolly.
That's a tough call, Andrew. That's a tough call. Walensky brothers.
Does look like Billerica is finding something that's working for them, though. Having Mason Hunt receive the ball on the wing and kind of go one-on-one against O'Connell, Jack O'Connell, that is. Second or third possession in a row that's happened.
Inside, knifing his way inside. O'Connell couldn't come up, so that's the second time the Scarlet Knights in the second half have tried to get it inside, and nothing there as the Indians are clogging up the lane. That's what they have to do to get back in this nice little weave inside. Number 12, Brady Martin. Where has that been in this game?
Brady Martin, the freshman, I do believe, and a player I think Billerica has a lot of faith in becoming a big player for this program.
Kutz hanging in there, no good. That was one of his signature shots as Walensky got back, played free safety back there. Prevents the fast break. Here's Mason Hunt. Tobaz rotate. Here's Martin. Nice block by Kutz. Wow, what beautiful, great ball movement by Billerica. Better defense by the Knights.
Yeah, great job identifying the next rotation if you're North Andover and Matt Kutz, and getting a hand up to contest the shot, coming away with the block.
And we got a timeout on the floor as the intensity has ratcheted up here a little bit. You can tell Billerica, they see the door closing, the time's winding down, and they're slowly getting back in this game. You can just tell by their body language. Tell me what you're seeing on the offensive end for Billerica.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing a more motivated Billerica team. I mean, obviously they got blitzed in the first quarter by North Andover, and that can lead to some low spirits. No fans in the stands, no energy. It can be hard to pick yourself up. So a lot of credit to Billerica for playing for pride and trying to get back into this game, which they've effectively done. Definitely on the back of Mason Hunt, who's like I said, a handful to guard. He's huge and he dribbles well, attacks well from outside despite being a big player. And also Brady Martin chipping in with some good play and a big basket there towards the end.
Well, at least Billerica has made some adjustments on the defensive end, because some of those easy baskets for the Scarlet Knights in that first half, it was getting a little too easy there, and so they made the adjustment. Now Coach Shanglis is telling his kids, you know, what adjustments can we make? Keep moving the ball. And let's keep just playing defense. You still have the 19-point lead. They've done a good job so far. You're going to expect a little back and forth.
DeAndre King subbing in for the Knights definitely can add some energy on both ends of the floor. Maybe sensed that the game was turning away from them a little bit and wanted to get that energy on the court.
You know, King hit a three-point shot in that first half. I want to see him be more aggressive, and here it is, kicks it out. Zach Walensky spot up, Bobby Jack three! Zach Walensky, that was a nice, beautiful rotation on the ball, and DeAndre King picking apart the defense.
Yeah, great decision making by DeAndre King. That lane opened up for him. He stepped towards the hoop, drew in the defenders, kicked it out to a great shooter with Zach Walensky, an open three.
Here's Martin, play fake. Here's Stack, three-point. They need some three-pointers in this game. 22 comes up with the offensive rebound. That's Danette Siddell. And other end, Scarlet Knights throw the ball away. They've tried that a few times in this game, going for the home run pass. That time didn't work, and Drew Cottonley is checking in.
I think it's been on a couple of times, been the right move a couple of times. That time maybe just forced it a little bit. Not quite a transition opportunity coming off a made basket like that.
When it works, it looks great, and then when it doesn't, it looks terrible. So it's one of those plays.
No matter how you look at it, a full court pass is always going to be a low percentage pass. So you don't want to live on those types of opportunities, but you do want to capitalize when it's on. I think that's safe to say.
He'll throw it the backcourt to St. Lair. In the corner, Martin. Back to Stack. Stack takes another three. This one no good again. St. Lair wanted the rebound, but of course Jake Walensky comes up with it. Bounce pass, cross court. Here's Conley off the glass, no good. Indians back. St. Lair spin to the basket, will draw the foul. Oh, it's an offensive foul. Somehow the Walenskys are all over the place.
Yeah, last time it was Jake, this time it's Zach. Love how North Andover's getting in front of those drives and putting their body on the line, creating a lot of extra possessions for the team. I said it pregame, Zach Walensky shows a lot of maturity for a freshman, and
Definitely.
he showed it right there.
Definitely. This is the body, his mannerisms.
Yeah, not afraid of the stage at all.
Here's Conley inside, muscling his way for two. He can do that stuff again, definitely against players that are undersized. For him, he's a really good stretch forward, doing a good job inside there.
Yeah, he operates a little bit more like a wing with his skill set, but when there's a smaller player matched up against him, he should definitely take advantage of those situations.
Stack top of the key, didn't want the pick and roll.
Active
Has to
hands.
kick it back to Martin. Now Martin will get the pick and roll. There's DeAndre King coming up with defense. 6 on the shot clock. They're going to have to throw a shot up here. Is good defense, but they're going to call a foul. Looks like a bailout call on Walensky. I didn't see anything there. There's another nickel dimer.
Yeah, definitely don't want to foul with 4 seconds left on the shot clock and a player kind of dribbling for his life. But
I didn't see the foul there, Andrew.
Yeah, so is the way of basketball, I guess.
Yeah. St. Lair, top of the key. Thinking about taking Walensky with the right hand off the glass and in. Pretty move, St. Lair.
Now you're seeing some scoring from some other players on this Billerica team. St. Lair getting involved, Siddell getting involved.
Nice up fake by DeAndre King.
Good job by Walensky.
Look at the night vision. Inside, Walensky gets it back. There you go. He had the night vision goggles on the cross-court pass, and he gets rewarded.
Yeah, just great awareness, recognizing that the low block on the weak side was open, slipping in, being an easy outlet for that driver. Good defense
Lamore
by
inside
Connolly.
working on Conley, draws the foul. Or are they going to call
Double
an
dribble.
offensive foul? Or at least a turnover there. Ball movement, unselfishness is outstanding for the Knights. Here's Walensky. Looked one way, went the other way. Nothing there, though. Good effort there, but they both collided. Luckily, no one got injured, but there is a foul call. Lamore will go to the line.
I do like that defense in transition by Kellen Murphy. I mean, not an easy basket after that collision in midcourt kind of opened it up for Billerica.
2 minutes and change remaining in this third quarter.
Good to see that King and Connolly are both okay after that collision as well.
Definitely. Especially with football seasons coming up in a month or so. And
funny you say that. I completely forgot that they're playing a winter-spring football season this year.
Yeah.
And you said something
about better weather than normal.
You said something about Jake Walensky looking like a free safety. I think that might be the position he plays on the football field.
He's actually linebacker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's linebacker and wide receiver.
Definitely can step back into coverage a little bit, the way he moves around the court.
Oh, yeah. Well, it depends on what defense they play in football. You know, if they play the 4-2-5, you need your those two middle linebackers to be, almost like glorified free safeties. So, Walensky can definitely fit the bill there as Billerica tries to close in here in this third quarter. A lot of passing, but not a lot of scoring as Lamore wants to take it.
Oof.
Good-looking freshman off the glass. That was a nice-looking move. It couldn't get the finish.
Yeah. First we've seen of him attacking the basket. Looked pretty good.
Cross court, Walensky, nice no look. Here's to his brother, Jake Walensky. The Walensky brothers strike again.
Yeah. Not to be cliche, but a little Splash Bears action.
60-35. 25-point lead as an air-mailed shot by Billerica. They are all out of sorts. And this could be a really good confidence booster for Scarlet Knights going into the remaining of their games if they can finish this game out strong. Here's King, nice fake, nice no-look pass. How you do?
What a pass!
Man!
Showing quite a bit of awareness. We know he has the ability to get into the lane and draw defenders, and I haven't seen that type of vision from King, and I'm thrilled that he's showing it this game. Been very impressed by that element of his game.
.27 game. Inside, Lamore wants it again. He's a freshman. Hey, why not?
He's been
impressive.
Attacking. He's been impressive. If I'm Coach Mastrullo, I'm looking at him and saying, how can I get him involved with some of my other players on the court? You know, a front court with him and Hunt would be a tough cover for anybody in the MVC.
Scarlet Knights looking to move to 2 and 3. Still need to finish this. Still a bit away from this. Want to finish this game strong. Solid defense by the Walensky. I love the switching. They're switching on defense. Cutting them off. Inside, Lamore.
Good active hands.
Here's a three-point shot. Way off. Jake Walensky will flip it up. 40 seconds left in the quarter. And Jack O'Connell off the glass and in.
Great pass by Walensky. You know, just dropping it. I know he plays linebacker. He dropped it in like a quarterback.
29-point lead for the Knights at home. Shot clock winding down here.
You know, I really love that North Andover. The intensity has not dropped one bit. I mean, maybe for a little bit at the early third quarter, but they've just kept the intensity going the whole time and, you know, built almost a near 30-point lead.
Here's Kutz, no look. Here's the ball rotation at the buzzer. Bang! Oh, I was premature on that one. That looked good, Andrew.
It did. I don't think O'Connell gets a lot of opportunities to pull up from three. He would have liked to have that one fall.
The Scarlet Knights, in some cases, finishing out this third quarter, in some cases tonight, they look like an offense you'd be appreciative of if you're Coach Tanglis. And I think he is tonight, with how efficient they're playing and the unselfish ball movement, I mean.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Unselfish ball movement and the way that they've been able to get into the lane and either kick it out to an open shooter at the three-point line or drop it off to the weak side, big man ceiling. I mean, those have been open all day, and they really haven't missed many opportunities to get buckets in either of those fashions.
Well, I'm curious to see what kind of lineup they have to start this fourth quarter. I'm not sure if Coach Janglis wants to mess around or anything. Yeah. Do you stick with those the same five that came out? Do you mix and match?
Yeah, you did ask me what time it would be, or what would be a good time to start thinking about, reaching into the bench a little bit. I think if not at the beginning of this fourth quarter, as this fourth quarter draws on, and if the lead doesn't change at all, not that I think the Knights are in jeopardy of losing this game, we could see some players who haven't seen the court so far this game get their shot. I'm thinking around maybe the 5-minute mark, and even that is a long run out for some players who don't typically see the floor. But looking forward to getting a good look at maybe some young players or maybe some players who can emerge and try and fight their way into a more rotational role.
Yeah, I mean, DeAndre King, we're seeing his progression on the offensive side. His defense will always be there, but I think he's getting more and more comfortable, setting into the offense, and he's doing a lot of driving and kicking, but he hit that three-point shot, and, as long as his offensive possessions, or he's involved in the offensive possessions, then, that makes the Scarlet Knights even more dangerous. It looks like we're getting the Walensky brothers. We're getting the same five that exited that third quarter. We're getting them here.
I think we're getting the starters. Yeah, we're getting the starters from tip.
So we'll see how long this goes, but the Scarlet Knights want to finish this game off.
Hey, Billerica took it to us last year. I think it was a 25-point victory.
There you go.
Maybe a little revenge for Tanglis.
There you go.
No, I'm just kidding. That's not the way that Paul Tanglis operates, but I think just at this point in the season, reps for your starters will only serve you well. Game reps for your starters will only serve you well as the season wears on.
Walensky in and out. Kutz thought about it. Behind the back.
Oh,
behind the back twice. There you go. Nifty move. Nothing there, though.
Would have loved to see that go down. That was quite the double behind the back move. Looking a little bit like Jeff Teague out there.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
For you like the references?
Inside stack. Right hand floater. Nothing there. Not much of an inside presence for Billerica. Walensky wanted the ball top of the key. They're denying him. Kutz corner working that that right side baseline, and the defender had no choice but to foul him.
Wish we had the NBA continuation rule. That would have been an easy and one.
Nifty play, not touching the baseline with his feet there. Not touching that baseline out of bounds. So Kutz has been living on that baseline tonight. Jab step. Inside, another floater. This one not there. Hunt cross court, got Josh Green spot up three. No good. Ball will get tipped out of bounds off of Drew Conley. 6 minutes and change remaining in this game.
Yeah, we're looking at Hunt and Stack back out on the court. So I think both teams going to the lineups that they did start the games with.
And no full court press for Billerica. They haven't really done anything on defense. They're just throwing them out there. So here's Green, another one. Another miss. Stack saves it. Shot clock doesn't reset. Stack gets it back. Good defense by O'Connell. Back to Mason Hunt. Mason Hunt wants it. In and out, no good. Rebound, of course, goes to the Walensky brothers. Right place, right time for them. Here's Kutz, had the open look, passed it up. Conley inside, left-handed
Good
finish.
Take. He is really good at that, maintaining his balance as he gets towards the basket with the player leaning on him and finishing. I love that aspect of Drew Connolly's game.
31-point game here. Billerica, defense deflected out of bounds.
Good sportsmanship by Drew Connolly, given Michael Stack a hand up there. Took a tough fall.
Looks like we're going to get some substitutions, maybe not.
Yeah, we'll read those off if we see them.
Walensky brothers top. They're going to go now down. Cuts top of the key, wants to drive. Walensky corner. There is another one. Jake Walensky.
Maybe the most impressive thing about his shot is how quickly he gets it off. I mean, it's in and out of his hands incredibly quickly, and that's something that all of the best shooters have mastered. As the competition picks up, you're going to have less and less times to catch and shoot. Having a quick release really serves you well, especially in a tough league like the NBC.
Jake Walensky has definitely picked up his scoring in the last few games. You know, when the season started, I was assuming that Matt Kutz would be the offensive leader. And, you know, it's really more of a balanced attack. They don't really have one guy, the Scarlet Knights, that opponents can hone in on. But Jake Walensky is definitely making a name for himself here.
No, I would love to see how many players are in double figures tonight. I would gamble to say Kutz, both Walenskys, Kellen Murphy, maybe Drew Connolly. I mean, the balanced attack has definitely been there tonight.
That's a good point. Inside out, number 12, Pensavelli. There's a three, no good.
Good job by
Good
O'Connell.
rebound by O'Connell. Another chance, there's another three. Pensavelli, there you go! Getting into the action is Chris Pensavelli, the senior guard. Getting some playing time here, Andrew.
Yeah, McGrady also checking in, number 4 for the Knights. Two players that I saw play last season in a couple different appearances, and players that can definitely do a job for this team, without a doubt. Pensavelli especially, I know he's a good shooter.
As they're scrambling for the ball, Stack has it on the double team, flips it over, and there's a turnover. The Knights looking to attack, and now Kutz backs it back out. No, inside, there it is! Jack Walensky, Kutz to Walensky, there you go. Prime time connection there.
Yeah, Jake just knows his role on this team so well. Great shooter, you know, takes up good spots on the court. You know, doesn't necessarily try to do it off the dribble, that's not his game, but off the ball, he's really an elite offensive player in the NBC.
Well, Mason Hunt with a three-pointer there. They needed way more of that tonight. Pensavelli wants another one. He'll get another one. Chris Pensavelli.
Knights open up a 34-point lead over Billerica, or sorry, 37-point lead.
Timeout, Billerica, 77-40.
I did mention it earlier, but I think it is a theme you're going to be seeing across basketball and really across a lot of sports this year without spectators. Really tough to find some energy, find some juice, find some motivation from somewhere without having the crowd behind you, having your parents cheering you on, all of those types of things. And I think that is part of the reason why you're seeing that, you know, 37-point lead open up here. Like the Clippers losing that game earlier this season by 50 or whatever points in the NBA. It can really happen to anybody in this, you know, this obscure pandemic season. And if you're Billerica, I do believe that a lot of the you know, the games this year happen in a couple. So next opponent I do believe will be Billerica at Billerica in a home and home. And if you're Billerica, you're looking at that game probably in a couple of days saying, you know, we got to make up for our performance tonight. We got to play for some pride. We know we're a better team than what we showed out there tonight. We're going to be back at home on our home court. We don't have to travel to an opposing high school, and you know, we're going to play them awfully tough. So if you're North Andover, you know, you got to watch your back. Billerica's going to be coming out looking to redeem themselves.
Well, Scarlet Knights started out 1-3. You finish this game off, and you can try to, you know, replay that second game against Billerica, find yourself back at 500, and you're, you know, right back in it.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at North Andover's schedule, playing Central early on, it's one of the tougher opponents you're going to play all year. You can't let those 2 games get you down. They played really well in the second game, and I think that's kind of part of the reason for this performance today, just building off the 20-point loss to Central and getting better every game.
As the Scarlet Knights have completely reset their lineup out here for the final minutes of this fourth quarter. It's going to be number 3, Liam Trundy, along with Chris Petzavelli. Number 30, Jake Linz.
I believe Andy Lauzon is out there.
Yeah, Andrew Lauzon out there as well.
And Brady McGrady, so that's the 5 for the Knights. 2 sophomores out there, and Trundy and Lynn, so keeping an eye on them in particular.
There's a turnover. Twabaz couldn't finish. That's been the Billerica's night tonight, although Scarlet Knights, I would argue, have had much bigger impact on this game than what Billerica has been able to do. It hasn't been like Billerica's really, they've missed a few easy shots, but this, I think a lot of teams that played the Scarlet Knights tonight would have lost or would have had a tough time against this team. How good they shot from the field.
Yeah, I mean, what are they at right now? 87 points, 77 points. So I mean, you're going to find very few teams in the NBC who can score at that rate. That being said, Billerica did put up 75 and 74 respectively in their 2 games against Chelmsford earlier this year. So a team that can score themselves, and just even more of a credit to North Andover for their defensive performance tonight.
As there was a missed free throw, and then will be out of bounds off the Knights. So Pensavelli already off the bench with a couple of 3-point daggers. See if anyone else can step up here.
I look at this North Andover team, and they didn't lose a lot of players from last year. I think only 2 or 3 seniors from last year's team, so they were returning a lot of players. But I was thinking to myself, who was going to step up, who was going to really take them to that next level. They did have a relatively disappointing season last year, and I mean, it looks like there's a number of players who are ready to man those roles, be it Kutz, be it either Walensky, be it O'Connell stepping up and playing a really big role. I've been very impressed, and I'm excited to see what the night season turns out to be. Very reassured by this performance.
It was a nice pass inside, but a turnover on the Scarlet Knights, and number 12, Martin inside. Twabaz offensive rebound. They kick it back out to Mason Hunt. Still some starters out there for the Billerica with 2 minutes and change left. Martin back out, a 3-point.
Good box out by Linz, by Jake Linz, the young sophomore.
Right.
Love seeing that against Hunt.
Pensavelli wanted his 3rd 3, and a foul will be called on the Knights. That will be number 30.
Linz.
Jake Linz. Under 2 minutes to play.
I like the look of Linz. Looks like he's got some size for a sophomore.
I'm hoping Nate Williams, who got banged up earlier in this game, I'm hoping to see him as Mason Hunt the follow. 77-42. Good rotation in the corner. 3, splash! There you go, and you like to see the bench getting into it. Believe that was
Trundy.
Liam Trundy. Good looking shot by the sophomore.
Good
Step
defense.
back, Hunt. Front rim, no good.
Good defense by Linz. Active hands, staying with him on the step back, quick feet. This will be a great learning experience for him. He's going up against Hunt, who is a really terrific player.
Nice take inside, number 30, Jake Linz.
Don't know if he's a lefty, but nice left-handed finish there.
Nice defense. And picked right back up by Mason Hunt. We're under a minute to play here at the Castle. Scarlet Knights off to their 2nd victory of the season, 82-46. Here's a spot up 3. Bang! Number 22, Andrew Lauzon getting in on the action.
Andy's always been a kid who can shoot the ball really well. I've seen him do it a couple times last year.
3 no good. Hunt again inside. No, and he is exhausted.
Good
As the
rebound by
Scarlet
Lance.
Knights look like they may wind this clock down. 20 seconds left, no shot clock. As the Scarlet Knights will get some revenge here at the Crozier Gym. Dropping the game last year to Billerica. By far the most complete game. The offense was outstanding. They shared the ball beautifully. It was a beautiful, poetic night of basketball here in North Andover, Andrew.
I'm not going to lie. Maybe my favorite thing about the game was that the level of play on the court and the level of intensity did not drop from the first unit to the second unit to the third unit. Those guys out there just now continued to play at a really high level. Whatever Coach Tanglis's pregame talk was, whatever these guys, if they went out to a socially distanced lunch together today, do that same thing. And I love the intensity, love the execution from the top of the roster all the way down.
Well, the final here on North Andover Cam Sports. The Scarlet Knights pick up their second victory of the season in an 85-46 win. They'll be rematching with Billerica later this week, and we'll be here next week. We'll see who the opponent is, but it's been fun, Andrew, and hopefully the Scarlet Knights can keep up the winning.
Yeah, hopefully when we reconvene next week, they'll be at 500, like you mentioned earlier, and have another, promising performance under their belts. We'll catch you guys next time.
We'll see you here at North Andover Cam Sports.